Today's show, we're at the Sig Hunter Games. We're talking to Cole Kramer and Patrick Hanley about how competing makes you a better hunter. Gun Talk Hunt is sponsored by Remington. Since 1939, hunters have trusted the Remington core-locked bullet. It is a tapered copper jacket locked to a solid lead core, delivering massive 2x its expansion. What that means for you hunters out there, you know the green and yellow box, you see it. But what you don't know is that when that animal is hit with a bullet, it's got to expand. So that bullet expands over its size, delivering greater power and a bigger wound channel, which means more animals on the ground. To find out more, visit Remington.com. Welcome to Gun Talk Hunt, where everything... What are you laughing about now? This is horrible. This is the worst way to start a podcast that you could get, but we're here with Cole Kramer and Patrick Hanley, and he's not going to stop laughing.
It's super serious. This SIG event is extremely serious.
We have taken precautions to make sure that it is at the utmost professional. What's that word?
Professional.
Professional.
I'm glad you got the R. I didn't get it.
But we are at the Sig Hunter Games. Not Hunger Games. We're at the Hunter Games, designed for hunters, for shooters, to emulate hunting situations.
Yep.
So, Patrick, I'm going to start with you. What the hell are we doing here? Mm-hmm. What do we got going here? This is kind of a big event for you guys. I mean, there's a lot of heavy hitters out here.
Yeah, I mean, what this developed from was a couple of years ago we started having a conversation after we went to a TAC event. Like, the archery industry does it right, where you have these hunting-based scenario shooting events where you get to go out and you get to actually practice, not on a bench rest, not shooting at a target from 20 yards with your bow, but actually doing scenario-based hunting type shooting. And so we looked at this and we're like, why doesn't this really exist in the shooting industry?
Why can't we do this?
Yeah, and so we started talking about it, and obviously doing something like that on a scale of what the archery industry has done, it's a massive undertaking. So we said, let's see how it goes if we were to go and experiment with this and bring some of the biggest names that we can to come in and to do this and see what the world thinks of it.
And you've got Cole Kramer here.
That mustache alone attracted over 400,000 hits in an hour.
It's
bet
for no other reasons.
No
they
other
told
reason.
me I couldn't shave the stash, and so we had to leave it.
You had to let it grow a little bit. You actually had to groom it.
Yeah, it's facts. Yeah,
How
some of it's not real.
How many beavers did you find hanging out in there?
Yeah, a couple.
Just a little known fact, Tom Selleck called Cole Kramer and said, I am sorry, but you have destroyed me. It actually,
It's
a true
cool.
story.
Well,
It's
and
glorious.
I said, Uncle Tom,
Yes.
like, please, like,
Yes.
I appreciate your, I mean, like, he's the legend.
He is.
You know, and we all aspire to be like him.
You drive a red Ferrari on Kodiak Island?
It not a lot because it's icy and rainy, but a nice face.
Cole, give us a little bit of your background. Let's let our listeners hear, like, the guy behind the mustache.
Well, thank you for asking. I am
You're
more
welcome.
than just this mustache, just so you know.
That's it.
You know, I've been guiding in Alaska, or I started my apprenticeship in Alaska about 20 years ago, and came up right after high school and just knew that this was going to be the life for me, and just kind of been up in Alaska, experiencing all that I can, and started my own operation like in 2007, and work with a bunch of different outfitters, and just love jumping around the state, guiding for other things, and just, to me, this progression of like gear and guns throughout this last 20 years has been pretty incredible. Like with the technology stage and just the different fabrics and the the gear and everything, and so like this has been a pretty incredible time period for us being out there, and also like the hunters, and so yeah, it's been pretty much like a 20-year journey, and here we are, find ourselves here in Wyoming.
In Wyoming,
Sig Hunter Games.
So let's go through the Sig Hunter Games. It's 7+ miles, so almost 7.5 miles.
Yep.
10 teams of 3 people, so you got 30 shooters out there, of an elite guide on your guide program. Is that correct? Your elite guides.
Which is what Cole is. He's one of our elite guides.
Yeah. And then you have kind of 2 celebrities and these aren't celebrity hunters. Like, you've got Cowboy Cerrone walking out there.
Yeah.
I mean, you got some heavy
legends
hitters.
walking around this place. And we had, when we started thinking about this, there was a lot of talk about who we would bring, what we would do, and we ended up narrowing it down to the fact that hunting and shooting reaches all different genres, and we wanted to make sure we were like, you know what, we want to go out and we want to make this a part of a bunch of different industries, not one industry. And we ended up going out and we were like, okay, let's grab some great names from the UFC. And we were super lucky that these people even wanted to be here. Bullet Valentina, Cowboy Cerrone, like legends.
Oh, yeah.
People.
We got Ryan Villapoto, who is like the god of supercross and motocross cruising around here. We have, there's the names here are just out of this world.
And then Hoist Gracie, you've got out there. Good
like,
gosh.
Yeah, there's Dave Castro, the god of CrossFit. I mean, there's a number of people, and that was one of the ideas behind this was like, we wanted people who were avid about shooting, hunting, that were in this world, that wanted to be a part of it. It wasn't just like, who's the biggest name? It was like, who are the people that love to do this stuff, that would be very excited to come out and do something like this? Because this isn't, as luxurious as this whole room looks.
Oh, yeah.
These guys are sleeping in tents. They're hiking over 7 miles.
That shocked me.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting here, I'm pulling up to the ranch, and I'm like, what are all those tents out there? Oh my gosh, that's where they're sleeping.
Have you ever shot anything up in Alaska that you didn't sleep in a tent the night before?
Most everything is tent.
So it's one of those things that it's as much as people overlook it, it's one of those things. You get up in the morning, you get dressed in the cold. You have to have all those little bits and pieces that create
mental
stress.
mindset. It starts right there in the morning.
It's a lot of those things that add to the element of what a person getting out in a situation where they have to go make a shot, they have to climb a mountain that they're already tired from the night before, they may not have slept as well as they thought they should. Yeah. All of these elements are added into what we're doing here with all these people.
So what is going to be the toughest part? Is it going to be mentally? Is it going to be physical for these competitors?
It's going to be a mix.
That's a tough.
Yeah, there's most all the people here are world competitors.
Right.
There is a lot of folks here that have the credentials that are super impressive.
Oh, yeah.
Gold medalists in Olympics, multi-gold medals in the Olympics. So all these people, like, shooting is not rocket science.
Right.
So they're going to get it down very quickly, and it's all going to come down to keeping the mental part together and just, you can, as we all know, is shooting, there's a lot of steps you need to follow to and especially with the winds up here in Wyoming. And so it's going to be, I think it's going to really come down to that, because like realistically, when you look at all these teams, we can all joke around about, oh yeah, we're going to take it, this and that and the other. But realistically, every team has very accomplished people on it.
Well, who's on your team?
Well, so I've got Logan Stark. He's one of the owners of Black Rifle Coffee and he is. Marines say they're always a Marine, right?
Always.
So he was a Marine sniper. Also, I've got Trevor Thompson, who Trevor was a SEAL and great guy. He actually has been coming up and guiding with me and doing his apprenticeship up in Alaska.
Really?
He was on the Sig Hunt for mountain goats
No
last
kidding.
year.
Yep.
And so he's also a photographer now that he's gotten out, and very accomplished photographer for Black Rifle. So we're probably going to take it. We'll probably obviously walk away with it.
That's
but
one of the stronger resume teams as far as like.
There is so much sandbagging going on in this place.
Oh yeah.
People have lied, cheated, and stealed to get into this event.
So
there were people like that down there.
I've never shot a rifle.
What is this? What is this strange thing you've handed me?
And that's probably Lena Michalik over there going, I don't know.
Lena carved a 5-shot hole like this at 100 yards.
geez.
Oh, these bolt guns are fun.
Yeah. This is neat.
Yeah, this is so much
She's like, I
sandbagging.
only shoot a pistol. Wow. And no one in my family shoots. And I was telling her, like, wait a second, I had no clue that was your dad.
Yeah.
Like, Jared's like the man, like the legend. I had no clue that was her dad.
Yeah, could
So,
you imagine
stacked.
having like him as your coach growing up? I mean, like the whole time, like.
Yeah.
She also has
he
a
happens
guy
to be the
named
great-
Daniel Horner who
Oh,
also
yeah.
helps her.
He's decent.
He's okay.
He's
I've seen him make
serviceable.
a few shots.
The whole point is everyone here is a committed person in their field. And so they're going to go into this, and it won't take long for them to capitalize on everything that's happened. So it's anyone's game.
It's all fun and games right now. But like you said, they're all competitors. I mean, and you're a competitor too. I mean, because it's you versus the animal, trying to guide someone into it, and it's you battling the elements too.
As a guide, all the Sig guides that are here, we have 1 week or 5 days to get the job done, period.
Right.
And you have to, otherwise it's a fail.
Yeah.
It's a failure. And so it's part of our DNA. We have to be successful, period. Like, it has to happen.
Yeah.
We're not just the weekend hunter that goes out.
No.
We're professionals. We think we understand animals.
Until they prove you different.
Like every time they prove you different. So like that's the whole thing. And so even though these are silhouettes, there's
Right.
still a lot of things that come into play with the weather, the winds, and everything.
Well, and I think
else.
that's an important note there, is that you guys don't know where these targets are.
Yeah, no.
When you
Of
enter the
course.
stage, like, you don't go right up to a shooting position and you can see these beautifully outlined silhouettes on the mountainside. You have to find them.
Yeah.
You have to find them, and not only when you find them, the way we designed this course is we didn't want to have all steel animal targets because it gives a
Right.
false impression
Yeah.
of I made a contact, I made a good shot. So everything is the imagery background of the animal that you're shooting at, and then the vitals are a realistic size of whatever that
Right.
animal is in steel with a T1000 light on the back. So you're going to get to that point where you can look and you can say, oh, okay, I can see that animal great.
Mm-hmm.
But then you look and see a vital that's 6x8 and you're making a 300-yard shot, everything just changed. And if you don't
Oh,
hear
yeah.
steel impact, you might have made a shot on that animal, but it's a shot that
gut
as a
shot the
guide you
animal.
don't
Yeah.
want.
Yeah.
You don't
it's-
want.
Exactly.
It is set up in a manner that it is we're scoring based on shots that we would consider to be a good shot,
Right.
not just a shot that touches the target.
Gun Talk Hunt is also sponsored by Timney Triggers. Through June 30th, visit timneytriggers.com and purchase the Daniel Horner Signature 2-stage adjustable AR competition trigger for 20% off during Freedom Savings Sale. Let me tell you about this trigger. I've got it in my 300 Blackout, and I absolutely love it. It is super crisp, and it's light, and I love the fact that it is a 2-stage adjustable trigger. But if you want to know more, visit timneytriggers.com. So let's talk about gear that we're using on this.
Yep.
Because I actually just had a conversation with Cowboy Cerrone about it, and he goes, well, I didn't know what we were coming into.
Yeah.
He goes, I get down to the range, and all of a sudden, they said, well, range that target over there. I hit a button, and it ranges, and it moves my scope. And that's the BDX system. And
It is, and we did this all on purpose. Like, when you do an event like this, one of the things that can happen, PRS matches, like Daniel does them a lot, and we talked about this when we were kind of working on this whole thing, is like, it's super easy to call an event like this and have somebody show up with a 20-pound rifle that's
Yes.
$20,000, and then the person below them is like, hey, I brought this is all I have. We made this a straight level playing field,
Yeah.
which is what makes this event so interesting. Everybody has the same cross rifle, same scope, same binoculars. There's nothing different in everybody's pack. They even have the same packs.
Yeah, that's right,
Everybody's
the
carrying
XO.
the same entire setup. And the reason for that was to be that this should be a challenge based upon your ability to go out and operate under pressure, be able to make a good shot, be able to do all those things, and not have the guy next to you and the team in front of you maybe have a much
the
better
upper
equipment.
hand.
Right.
Yeah.
This is literally all about being able to go out and be the best person that day, not have the best equipment.
oh, that just.
But they got good equipment. That's
Well,
the
they got
worst
a good
part.
equipment. Yeah,
the
well, 'cause-
BDX is something that makes this
Well,
a cheater effect
and
for
they're
a lot of people.
all
in a lot of
shooting
ways.
cross rifles.
Yes,
I
which
mean,
they've been shooting. We were pretty excited about that gun when we brought it out, but we're watching people shoot this down here, and it's
Yeah.
incredible.
It is,
shooting so
and
good.
I know a lot of our listeners, and we're talking with Patrick Hanley, and we're talking with Cole Kramer, but I wrote a piece about it. I saw this at NASGW the year before it came out, and I wrote a piece about it when it came out. That was the gun that I bought, a sight unseen. Like, I know I'm going to have this rifle, and I've got it right now in my safe, and it shoots.
Yeah,
Like,
it's a good
shooter. And talk about gear, Cole, because you have seen the evolution of gear over 20
Sure.
years of guiding in Alaska and all over the state. So the evolution of the gear and the cross rifle that you see today, like, how has that changed hunting for you and the way you guide?
Well, like some guys show up prepared, and then you also have some hunters that show up that want to borrow equipment. But the biggest thing is making things simple for
Right.
guys. And so, like, for instance, Logan, who's on my team, we were strictly practicing. Once we knew we were coming together as a team, well, we got together.
Cheater.
They came up to Alaska to practice, right? To
No.
practice. And,
Are you serious?
They practiced. They bought 3 bear hunts, and then they came up on hunts. So, regardless, we're just
Holy
practicing
crap.
for this event.
I want to buy 3 bear hunts.
Yeah, exactly. So, no,
Like,
but
I know a guy.
But I brought my cross rifle in 6.5 BDX system, and none of those guys had shot that before.
Okay.
And we had it there in the 6.5 for wolves because we want to reduce the wolf population where we're brown bear hunting because there's a lot of moose there as well.
Right.
So none of those guys had shot that. A pack of wolves came out one night. I said, guys, get down here. Grab Logan. And I start ranging. I said, Logan, shoot the red dot. Wherever that red dot is, hold on and shoot.
Wait, so did you have the Zulu binoculars or the rangefinder?
The rangefinder. And so I was ranging, and I said, get ready. I said, do you see him back behind the wood line? I ranged it. It was 435 yards. I've got the dot. I said, all right, clear. Boom, smoked him.
Really?
And he'd never shot that rifle before.
No kid.
Ever.
That was his first trigger pull.
First trigger pull was on that gun, and it's a very easy process,
right?
And so if you're going to hand something to someone, it has to be simple, And the thing is about using that system and just hitting the button and seeing where you're supposed to aim on your reticle.
Right.
It just makes it easy.
Well, it's got to be huge for the guide to know that, like, this is my gun, I shoot it, and I know once I press that button, I know that scope's going to be on.
And it just makes it simple, though, for the hunter as well. Yes, it was my system, but when the hunter sees it, like, wow, that makes sense. I might as well.
Yeah.
And a lot of the hunters, they want to look to the guides for advice,
right?
Because there's a lot of people out there these days that just, they think they're a big deal and they get sponsorships and whatnot, and people are going off of advice for them, but that person is basically paid to tell them what to use. But us guides and outfitters, like, we're going to use what works.
Oh, 100%.
Because it doesn't do us any good, and we can't lie to the public because they're coming.
They're seeing it.
I have to provide. I have to do this with them right here with me. So if I tell them to get it, it has to go down.
It's like the trainer you go take a class from. Like, you take a class from, and if they don't shoot in front of you, I'd be suspicious.
Yeah.
If they don't pull their equipment out,
in the military,
I would be suspicious.
Like, I was never in the military, but if you had a military instructor and he was teaching you how to shoot or how to clear a house or how to whatever, but then he was going to be with you when you did your first, close quarters combat, and his instruction was bullshit.
Yeah. No.
I mean, it's not going to work.
Pass.
And so you have, like, what you're preaching has to work.
Yeah.
And so it makes it really simple with this sort of system. It's like, hey, range a target, it's going to.
And Patrick, you had a huge hand in the cross.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of your baby.
It's my baby in the sense that I was very passionate about getting it to actually happen.
Right.
The amount of people in that company that partook in that was very different than any gun we've ever made. So we do, in the world of pistols and ARs, since I've been there, we've always done a lot of research and development. But a lot of times when it's like, we need to make a rifle for this specific military unit, we have a defined spec of what we need to do. When it came to this gun, it was like, okay, the bolt action market is just littered with guns.
Oh, yeah.
It's like everywhere. And I spent a lot of time at the company talking to a lot of people, and I realized, like, people don't look at SIG as a bolt company. The level of skill set of people that are in that company, very similar to what you're talking about with Logan. There are guys that are snipers, that are competitive shooters. Yeah. We literally sat like a family at Thanksgiving dinner with Daniel Horner, guys that were former Delta, guys that are hunters, guys that are PRS shooters. And every month we would get in a room and we'd sit down and say, here's where we are. And people would fight and argue, and it was great because we would come out of that room with like, okay, we have 3 decisions to make. Is this the better option or is that the better option? And we would come together, and eventually somebody would give way and say, we're going to do it this way. And I had never been a part of a product like that where it was so many people in the company with so much at stake, knowing that we have one chance. You make a bolt gun and it's a bad bolt gun, and you're not a bolt gun company,
and
you're done.
You're screwed.
I think
Done.
you guys, you hit it on the head, because, like, me coming from where I am in the field of like dealing with brush and when you were in Kodiak, you saw it as like for me, like I cut all my barrels down to 20-inch barrels. My 375s, 458 lots, like everything as my guide guns I cut down. And then seeing this cross at that short barrel, I was like, whoa. It like
Isn't that
instantly
awesome?
fell in love. But I was like, and I know lots of guys like, man, the long barrels, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but I see all these guys hauling these long ass barrels in the brush.
And it's catching.
And it's catching
It'll catch
everything.
Yeah.
And so for me, it was I personally think it was just a home run right off the bat when I saw that like this gun shoots well, obviously.
Oh yeah.
It's a shorter barrel. It's compact. You can break down it. I mean, it's unbelievable that. I mean, it's just a no bullshit. It works, and whereas like there's plenty of just all these rifles, you stack them up, they all look the same.
Oh,
they all look the
100%.
same. And this one is like, wait, hold on, what's this? What's this?
Oh, it's eye-catching.
It's not just eye-catching, it actually works.
I actually had the conversation
works.
the year that me and my boss went out when this became an actual product. We were in Colorado. We were out on a personal hunt, and I brought a competitor's rifle. I had one of our suppressors on it, and it was like carrying a broomstick. And I actually said to him at one point, we had shot a 5x5 we were carrying out, and I'm like, this gun is taller than that rack on my back. Why does it have to be this way? And we talked a lot about it of like, will the hunting community accept something that looks more AR-ish than a traditional bolt rifle? And there was a lot of talk about that back and forth. But the reason that style of rifle has become so prominent in the military world is those guys hike over mountains. They climb into areas where we all go into, and they want that best possible scenario of the smallest gun possible. And then as far as the barrel goes, I sat down with Daniel and I was like, correct me if I'm wrong, but we sell a lot of 308s to a lot of very high level snipers that are like 18 inches, don't send me anything longer.
Yeah.
So Daniel was like, yes, and he went to a further extent. He said, I'm going to buy 3 guns at 26 inches, and I'm going to cut them 1 inch at a time, and we're going to find the point of diminishing returns, and we're going to improve this. And he took multiple ammos and sliced down a gun all the way until he got to 16 inches, and just spent the time and said,
you can hack it off and just watch it go.
We're literally carrying this much weight for 100 feet per second. Is it worth it? And when you're going through
not like what he's going through.
Exactly.
Hiking up a mountain out here in Wyoming or in Colorado, or
in hunting scenarios, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. I've been doing this for years, and it's not worth it.
Yeah.
I mean, the extra weight and the length, and if you're swinging, the other thing is that people got to understand, it's not just the weight. It's when you're moving through the brush and when you're swinging the rifle.
Yes.
Correct.
I have been in the brush multiple times looking for wounded game, and it doesn't matter if it's a bear
are big
or a
critters
deer
too.
or anything.
Good potentially,
right, sure.
yeah.
Bears, yes, very crucial. But even if a deer, deer, elk, anything, you're in the brush and you happen to be looking and you go to swing and you catch the end of that barrel, or if you're having to move the barrel in and out, and you're coming off your shoulder or not, I mean, it makes a huge difference. And so
seconds count.
Seconds count, and if you go to hit that branch with the end of your barrel, it's just, and 100 foot a second is nothing compared to
Is the animal going to notice 100 feet per second difference?
And that's the thing is, and this isn't, it's not really that new in the sense that, so I grew up in New England. I spent my entire time tracking up north for deer in the snow, and when you live in that part of the country, if you have a barrel that's over 18 inches, it's like, what are you doing?
A lot of 30-30 lever action.
Exactly, 30-30 lever, pump 7600s. Like that's how everybody grew up there, and it was the understanding of exactly what he just said, which was, you need to make a shot on a deer that's moving. You don't want a barrel that's extending out 26 inches because it just makes it all that much more difficult. And when you start to span across the country, we're not all that much different in different areas of the country. There are portions that are much wider open in like the West out here, but at the end of the day, the amount of benefits you get from a shorter barrel far outweigh the negatives of those extra feet per second. It's shorter, and to the point that it's shorter, I want to carry a gun suppressed. I don't want to carry a long barrel.
That's added
suppressed.
length.
It literally, as a guide, Cole can tell you he loves it. As a shooter, I love it. It's increased velocity, it's increased accuracy, it has so many benefits, And when you start carrying it on these longer barrels, you're literally getting yourself to the point where you just have this massive length of a gun by the time you're done.
That just doesn't
so
work.
So if you can add that, add that suppressor with the 16 or 18-inch barrel, now you're just a normal gun.
Your normal gun.
Under 24 inches.
Yeah,
normal gun.
and you can still break that gun down.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yep.
So you win. So, well, guys, I really do appreciate you joining us on Gun Talk Hunt. That's it from us at the Hunter Games. And, man, best of luck, Cole. Like,
Thank you very much.
You better shoot
It's gonna be a lot
good.
of
It's going to be the best second place team on the field. Guaranteed.
All right, that's it from us.